Hello, everybody, from Forks, Washington, on the Olympic Peninsula. Our NBFC camera and microphone are set up today on a knoll just outside the city of Forks, small town, 1,600 population, which was practically unknown outside its immediate area until one day last September, when overnight it became an object of nationwide attention. On the 20th of September, the area around Forks was hit by the most devastating fire that had occurred in Washington state in many years. The flames swept down from the northeast. 20 miles from Forks they started and burned all through the day and into the evening. By the next day, the scene was one of utter devastation. In all, 20,000 acres of rich virgin timber had been destroyed. Total damage was estimated at $20 million. This hill just to the north of the city of Forks, down which the flames raced almost to the center of the town, gives mute evidence of the damage wrought by the blaze. Logging is Forks' lifeblood, and when this sort of thing happens all over the community, it's tough on industry, if that happens to be logging. And it's tough, too, on the people who must inhabit that area, whose houses were burned. 30 or 40 of them were burned in the city of Forks. So now, 6 months later, we're paying a return visit to Forks to find out how the city has recuperated. Have its residents all left town, or are they staying with it?
I'm going to stay.
Are you going to rebuild, Mr. Markworth?
I will this summer, just a minute that we can get all this land cleared and get established with the Red Cross helping me and buying the trailer house. Bad weather this winter, and the mills has been down for 3 months.
You've been out of work then?
We've only had 20 days out of 3 months. So
20 days at work?
That's right.
Well, things have been pretty tough for you then.
It has been.
But do you think they're going to get better?
They're going to get better if there be no strikes coming on.
And fire or no fire, you're here to
stay? No fire. I'm staying.
Fred Markworth will stay. You have no doubt about that. A man doesn't stand out in his lot and pick out stones and roots and discard them onto a pile unless he intends to stay. And that pretty much goes for all the residents of Forks who were burned out by the Great Fire of September 1951. They're all rebuilding or planning to rebuild. If everything you owned, your house, your furnishings, were suddenly destroyed by fire, and this were all that was left, and none was covered by insurance, what would your reaction be? Well, that's exactly what happened to Mr. and Mrs. Charles Moore of Forks. Mrs. Moore, what was you and your husband's first reaction? Didn't you want to leave Forks and never see it again after losing everything you had in the fire?
No, we didn't. We wanted to come back and start all over again.
You wanted to start right here, where you had lived for so many years?
Yes,
Ms. Moore, those must have been rather trying times right after the fire.
It certainly was.
Did you get a lot of help from your neighbors?
Yes, we did. We got lots of help, and the Red Cross also helped us a lot, too.
And this house that you have here, did your husband build that?
Yes, he did. He built it just for temporary.
You plan to build something bigger later?
We're planning on building one with a basement, have more windows in it.
Where have you spent the time since he hasn't had this house built too long, I don't imagine? Where have you been since the fire?
Down to the Navy base.
Is that Quileute?
Down to the
Naval Air Station?
Yes.
Are there a number of wives still down there?
Yes, they are.
Well, how do they get along?
Oh, we do some coring once in a while each day, and then we make up, and we have lots of fun, get-togethers.
Well, maybe it wasn't such a bad experience after all.
No, it wasn't. It was pretty nice to get together for once in a while.
The residents of the northern outskirts of Forks, where the fire turned some 30 homes into ashes, are all making plans for the future. Some haven't gotten to the building stages yet. Others are a little farther along, like A.L. Goldbrand, a carpenter, who has construction on this home nearly completed. Meanwhile, he and his wife continue to live in their nearby trailer.
We've decided to not rebuild the mill, and we're going to sell it, property here. Logger's going to take it over, and he's going to build himself a garage and use it as that. I intend to spend this summer in Montana with my brothers and sister and my mother, and probably by doing that I can get a little sleep. If I stay here, I always sort of picture that fire, and I want to get away from that.
You had no insurance, did you, sir?
No, there was no insurance, and the rate is very high on sawmills.
How high is it?
It's, we figure at least 10% of what you insure for.
10% of the value of the property?
No, 10% of the amount that you would insure for.
Per year?
Yes. It's very seldom that a small mill could afford to pay that rate. So we figure if we could get by for a few years, why, we'd be ahead, build a new sawmill.
Do you still plan to build a new sawmill sometime later?
Yes, I probably will.
Will you build it here?
No, I don't think so. I'll try to get closer to a railroad. Our rate was very high out of here. We may possibly get something out of it yet. If this suit they're trying to bring up, and in case that they pay off on that, we may possibly get something out of it.
The suit out of which George Beck has faint hopes of recovering some of his loss is one that has been filed on behalf of a number of the burned-out residents of Forks against the Port Angeles Western Railroad and the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forestry Service. The allegation is that the Forestry Service failed to extinguish a small fire which started in August of 1951, permitting it to smolder for 4 weeks. The blaze broke out, in the first place, charges the suit, because of the Port Angeles Western Railroad. When the wind came up on September 20th, sparks from this small fire touched off the Great Forks Holocaust. Well, we're glad to say Leroy Johnson wasn't talking through his hat when he said he'd have another house. The young man, with perseverance, went to work immediately after the fire last September, and about 2 weeks ago moved into this. Admittedly, it isn't much, but it's a home, and Leroy Johnson is getting back on his feet. We'd like for you to meet the Johnson family. This is Helen, age 15 months. This is her father, Roy, and this is his wife, Lena. Boy, you look a lot happier than the last time I saw you up here.
Yeah, I am.
Things have been going a bit better for you since
Oh,
the
yeah,
fire.
quite a bit better now. We're set up pretty good and moving back to town. That's the most important thing.
Boy, you must have had a good deal of help from various agencies and people about to construct your house here so rapidly.
Well, yes, we've had quite a bit of help from the Red Cross and from the Forks itself. Has helped us quite a bit to, as far as living essentials is concerned. But the Red Cross has helped us the biggest on the house alone.
Mm-hmm.
They've helped us for the whole building as far as we've got it right now.
Well, you have quite a ways to go yet, but it's coming along nicely, isn't it?
Oh yes, we can't complain on that at all. At least we're home anyway.
Well,
So-
it's nice to be home again. eh?
Oh, isn't it?
On almost exactly the same spot. Not quite, but almost where the original house burned down.
That's right.
Is it pretty nice to be home, Ms. Johnson?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Did you stay out at the Quileute Naval Station, too,
Yes, I did.
with some of the other wives
Yeah.
who had to go out?
We all were out there for quite a while. We just started moving in now.
Well, I personally think it's wonderful, the enterprising and the pioneering spirit of you and all the rest of the people of Forks who have pitched in very difficult circumstances, and not one has left Forks, as I understand it. Not one person has
I
left
know there
Forks.
hasn't been.
That is a truly remarkable record, and a real tribute to our pioneering spirit.